Hello, I am James Mandolare, and I have been following Lunge the dinosaur for the Let Us Not Go Extinct party. Lunge has been missing since his last video, and we have no idea where he is, but he did send me from his undisclosed location the following speech. He calls it Elitism, the original sin of American fascism. He also calls it uber class political theater. I'm going to read it for you now. This is from Lunge the Dinosaur, Let Us Not Go Extinct. The present surreal television show election is the result of limiting the electorate to the wealthy and devoting all the national will, productivity, and hard labor of honest citizens only for the wealthy, for the financiers, bankers, and corporations, and their government stooges and media mouthpieces. By neglecting the other classes of our fellow human citizens, we've created these very limited and superficial results. The compassion of the intelligent and progressive masses have been ignored every generation since the 60s cried out for progressive change, only to get a tiny taste of their enlightened will, while devoting all the rest of our resources in favor of the narrow and petty selfish interest of the very few in the super wealthy class. Now we have the mirrored and reflection of Hillary versus Trump, a further reduction of our national will, distilled down to the thick treacle of the tiny limits of a narcissistic grab and greed for power. This is the driving passion of the uber class, the only thing that matters to them, beyond love and life or even a better future. The power of this cartel of wealthy families creates the mechanisms to manipulate the electoral process, and it influences all branches of our government through financing re-election campaigns. This, in turn, influences the enforcement of law in the police stations and education in our schools and in the medical institutions through administrators beholden to the wealthy for contributions. The tentacles of this corruption, of these psychotic corporate entities, reach into our lives through local institutions stained with the priorities and values of a sociopathic class that have betrayed all humanity and the life on the planet for their own unending greed and their foolish and deadly conceit that they deserve this exalted position above the rest of humanity, allowing more and more fellow citizens to starve homeless in the streets and live lives of sore oppression and part-time wage slave drudgery. The tip of that blood-stained pyramid surfaces symbolically in our national elections year after year. Now we have the tyrannical dictator wannabe, sociopath, running against the queen of all corruption, both mere spokespeople for the true rulers, the world-dominating militant empire of corporate greed. Let us not bother to even mention the hundreds of thousands all across the nation that cheer for that crazy wild-haired democratic socialist activist and a green-inspired Harvard doctor doing political resuscitation on the dead corpse of American liberty. Let us ignore the hundreds of thousands of progressive voices all across the world crying out for all life on the planet, past, present, and future, and for an equal and fair chance to pursue each and every person's happiness, living in a world of peaceful cooperation and mutual appreciation and love. That is all a citizen could wish for, and it has denied us our inseparable and inalienable right to live freely in an open and fair society, all because the rich refuse to surrender their power and improve the life of every person in the world with innovations that make their cash cows obsolete. What we have seen instead in this celebrity circus arena, a sham and a shame on our natural soul. We have these two perfect examples of the lowest common denominator in this banal and boorish upper crust that has developed in our country since World War II, an imported technical and corporate, petty, inhumane fascism that retards the progression of the human race in favor of creating a civilization not for the betterment of humanity and the fostering of all life and enlightenment, but merely to ensure that the gross billions and trillions of the world's blood, sweat, and tears flow always in torrential floods into the same ancient hands of the few. The true original sin that disobeys God and the evolving universe and creates only misery and tyranny, the designed and enforced stagnation of elitism. Thank you. Let us not go extinct.